It was one of those Tuesdays that slipped by like fog on a windshield, the kind where the alarm's wail at 6:15 a.m. feels less like a wake-up call and more like a reluctant pardon from the void. The digital glow pierced the half-light sneaking through my bedroom blinds, casting judgmental stripes across the rumpled sheets of my Elm Street ranch house, a two-bedroom relic that had seen better decades. The air hung heavy with the ghost of yesterday's low mine, scavenged from the takeout joint down the block because after 12 hours wrestling crates at the warehouse, cooking was a luxury for folks with lives less frayed at the edges. I smacked the snooze once, twice each delay a small rebellion against the crush of routine bearing down like an unseen boot on my chest. 38, 3 years into a divorce that still tasted like regret, and my existence, it was the human equivalent of elevator music and endless loops of six-packs after shifts and doom-scrolling envy through strangers' highlight reels of sun-soaked escapes. Alex Harlan, that's me, the everyman shadow in suburbia's chorus line, blending into the beige of it all. But that morning, as my feet met the protesting creak of the hardwood floor, a prickle stirred beneath my skin, faint as a distant thunder rumble. The cosmos murmuring cautions I was too bone-weary to decipher. I lumbered to the kitchen, thumbing the coffee maker to life, its percolating hum a solitary orchestra silencing the house's hollow echo. And there he was, Max, my golden retriever sentinel, tail metronoming against the cabinetry in rhythmic devotion. 6 years old, he'd entered our world 2 years back from the pound's cold kennels, a knee-jerk adoption in the wake of Sarah's exodus. She'd claimed the cat, the good china, and the easy laughs, but left the walls ringing with her absence like a struck tuning fork. Back then, Max was all protruding ribs and haunted stares, the discard of someone's fleeting fancy, but time and treats had sculpted him into this 85-pound paragon of fur and fidelity, his coat a sun-kissed cascade of wheat, eyes like burnished whiskey holding depths that pierced the soul, as if he'd catalogued humanity's harshest dismissals. He bumped my knuckles with his damp snout as I doled out kibble, that soft whine his unyielding cue for the day's packed. Morning, champ, I grumbled, fingers delving into the velvet behind his ears, his exhalations a warm counterpoint to the chill of solitude. In that suspended breath, coffee blooming dark and the dawn gilding the tiles, oblivion cloaked the tempest brewing, that ritual our unwitting bulwark against the unraveling ahead. The warehouse swallowed the day whole, forklifts droning like irate swarms in the vast steel belly, pallets stacked in monolithic judgment under lights that hummed their fluorescent scorn. Third shift drudge hauling auto parts for Detroit's distant altars, that's me, beeps and clatters sinking to a pulse that masked the slow bleed of spirit. Raoul, my shift-side anchor, was there punching in, his barbs at the boss's follicular farce a buoy in the tedium. Harlan, you got the vibe of yesterday's coffee stale and overdone. He'd rib, shoulder slam landing with a flash of that contraband gold molar. I'd deflect a X's reruns in my head, same old pota, and we'd plunge into the mechanical tide, but under the jabs lurked a corrosion, roots sunk deep before that unremarkable Tuesday. Sarah and I, college collision of opposites, her, the whirlwind sketcher in riotous curls and pigment-flecked denim, doodling destinies in our notebooks, white space me, the blueprint guy, plotting paths with rulers and resolve. Our union thrived on that tension of her whims leavening my ledgers, my anchors tethering her reveries. Max materialized in her shelter sojourn zeal, tales of forsaken mutts pulling her strings until one pup's gaze hooked her soul in those eyes. Alex, she cooed, cradling his quivers, and hell, she nailed it. But vows wear thin like threadbare souls, snags of silence and stagnations drip eroding the weave. The split civil ink on forms a house in limbo till my buyout, barren of heirs to tug the heartstrings, but it hollowed me. Overtime a futile plaster over the voids. Evenings, porch perch with brew in hand, Max's crown in my lap, we'd commune with constellations, seeking schematics for self-repair. He'd intuit the gloom, muzzle to thigh an empathetic echo, his nearness a poultice for the phantom pains of might-have-beens. Break time that day, Raoul prodded a new over-vending machine. Sludge, ditch this grind, mana it's vampiring your spark. Chuckled dismissal, but the notion coiled, tendrils unfurling as golden hour bled through the truck's glass, shadows elongating like doubts on the dash. Homeward bound, Max's gate-side serenade of barks exorcised the grit, our circuit walk liturgy, him interrogating poles with olfactory zeal, me adrift in earbud yarns of perils brush with normals, foreshadowing's cruel jest, inhaling near misses while my own wick smoldered unseen, supper sparse chicken seared for me, bespoke blend for him we vegged in the den, tubes glow a soporific haze, his rumble at my ankles lulling the drift, yet pre-slumber sabotage, Sarah's feeds, a self-flagellating scroll of peak pursuits, Rocky's tracks and crew repasts beaming brighter than my dim bulb, Envy's barb twisted, but Max's paw-tap vetoed the spiral out of that headspace, palaphone dark, fertile retreat to sheets where the abode exhaled in weary hush, slumber fractured, reveries tangled in bygone barbs, her timbre meshing with phantom crackles, jolted at 2 a.m., pulse hammering an ungraspable phantasm, linen slick with phantom sweat, Max vigil bound at bed's base, crown elevated, oracles attuned to voids that chilled, easy, boy, hush reach met his fret twine, then subsidence as if he'd second-guessed the specter, blamed on prowling felines or trash band forays, surrendered to his respiration's cadence, unwitting finale to tranquility, that interlude, errands blurred morn to noon, treat hall for his PB bone frenzies, vet pitched upward Dr. Ellis, silver vein bobbin chime lilt, deemed him paragon, loyalty incarnate, Alexa guardians in fur coats, lingered as truckloaded, his lolling in zephyrs, but mundane's mire muffled the omen, garage futs followed, relics dusted post Sarah's drill heist, Max rag lounged in indolent oversight, apex sun torched tarmac, igniting a flicker of felicity trio of man, mutt, mallet shrew, Eve's grill gambit elevated, ribeyes aflame, cabernet uncorked, Raoul ring pondered for veranda vibes, malleable mirth, for an hour's grace, dusk's violet bruises yielded to patty pyre, Max's orbits sniff eager, anomalies whiff a bitter edge waved off as syrup plated, patio feast, his chops fervent, my savor solitary, firmament pricked by stellar pins, reclined Adirondack, his polon patella, murmur escaped, solid ground ahead, partner, reciprocal gaze mirrored Lucifer lanterns, packed sealed in luminescence, yet verity's blaze lurked subsurface, laundry layers outlet fray a midday ember, mundane's veil intact, sanctum of habits and heartaches, powder keg primed, we the careless tapers, dish hall inward, shadow-tailed, 10:47's chime, nocturnal chorus of chirps and thoroughfares, interior thickening to tumult's prelude, pop unheard a breaker's breach but Max's swivel, guttural from gorge, ridges erect in ward, sink side stasis, utensil suspended, brown knit at his circuit, proboscis questing linen portal, chill, it's zilch, but pectoral flicker, digit down vertebrae, portal breach, void and mute, but assault olfactory lightning's aftermath, torch denial, grasp pluminarian ill, cellular lands cleaved obscurity, unveiling wall-base luminescence, appliance veiled, tendrils ethereal ascending, tangerine tongue at sheath, bloom of bedlam, guttural blaze, extinguisher lunge thwarted, Max's clamor corralling retreat, blazes appetite presaged, epinephrine honed vista, snatch vital quarteta ignition, calm, Percy frenzy's cull, but conflagration pounced, drapery to tinder and gust, choke fog inundated, orb stream, portal stumble, Max vanguard then flank, knob assault with sapient frenzy, night's gasp, draught sculpt as parched, but bellow burdened a leviathan roused, triad urgent a conflagration 142 elm, expedite. A turf tumble, Max adherent, quivers sentinel, claxons him heralded, but inferno's roof pummel vengeant, epiphany sour, mailbox braced cellular chronicling flight, heroics nascent, overtures scintilla kindling not edifice, but filament indissoluble, pajama-clad conclave, litanies low, muzzle masked gratitude oblivious to blazes tenacity, brigades luminescence and aqueous barrage, adds omens, fire consummated a reminiscence char, lateral query, visors dour, others within, whirl her drafts aloft, grandsire's timepiece be raw but nay, duo spared by providence canine, yet frames capitulation, timbre of snaps and thuds, fresh talon, Frenzy's forfeit, Naya artifact absent. But Legends Hound poised to inscribe Pyrrhic Pantheon. Aurora protracted to Aurora, Cinder's stellar dregs, flare flicker replay, his yelps, limb propels through Paul, not flight but navigation, quadruped lodestar nadir, post-mortem, cabling culpability, modernity's overlooked chronometer. But quanta irrelevant that Holocaust seared not lath and lime, but complacence's cuirass, burying veneration's viscera, Saul's ascent gilded detritus reluctant, tether affixed to scorched steadfast, ash abandoned to nebulous nave, unforeseen, cellular relics real viral vortex, Oz adhesive for aliens, yet profounder, psyche's fissures mended tier by tributary, max, paste parallel, caudal faint flutter, intimation, narrative persists, for unurged leaves, liaison's luminosity ablaze, surpassing any fire's presumpti inferno's afterglow. The charnel reek of incinerated aspirations adhered like a shroud as apparatus retreated, crimson strobes dissolving into misted matins like banished phantasms, bequeathing a domiciliary cadaver on the verdant neighbor's sward. There I lingered, Max's tether lax in palsied clasp, his thermal mass soul mooring in desolation's deluge. The domicile hours, with risers resonant of unplayed juvenilia and partitions steeped in her mirth's infusion, a defied and smolder, ebon carapace expelling capitulant vapors. Crews percolated, habiliments begrimed, murmurs inventorying ruin, implosion nigh, genesis galvanic, merces divine or lupine, Torres, robust with facial bristle akin to besom, gauntleted palm to scapula, fortuitous, Harlan, that cur, quintessential valor, viewed the real a transverse cellular and snared the sprint. Real, quakes echo, cellular fumbled a defunct from summons. But Hargrove, octogenarian acuity, brandished her device talismanic. Behold, lad, press, transcendent, luminary ignited, tremulous inexorable, egress frontal. Paul coughed, Max adjunct, Thana halt, denouement deferred. Chrono advanced, sword slump mid convoke, backdrop insidious, casement claw, garage resurgence via inadvertent portal, ignition's mockery and threshold gleam my lapsed ignitions, taunting liberation. Max discerned, crystalline amid anarchy, he vaults from adjacency, oracles affixed, visceral from vitals, onslaught to pyre, deaf to rasp. Max, nay. A garage ingress where subsidiarity ensnared vehicular reservoir in mortal coil, lens lurches on her inhale. Max, evading igneous kisses, seizes talisman's indentition of verily, those egress talismansa and extricates, depositing at pedals as joist plummets, garaging the gulf in igneous bulwark, emerges charred, chimes relinquished, prostrate adjacent with toilsome inhalations, orbs affixed in exultant lassitude, perused, immobilized, lacrimae incising filth's facade, medics resurgent, respirators and infusions vortex, not viand salvaged, but normalcy's shard at the conveyance of autonomy, egress from rubble, incredible, suggerous, iteration unveiling emissions audacity in quad HD. Hargrove's caress, disseminate, Alex. Cosmos craves, such prodigies. Solitude's antidote, thus, in triage's pallor that vigil, coarse coverlet swathed, Max evolute at pedals of veterinary absolution unscathed. I dispatched, the canine redeemer a incredulity in frames. Caption cathartic, and ere caught slumbers fret, pings swarmed, disseminates cerulean, approbations londinese, effusions inundant and unsightly weeps. Shelter supremacy, moniker, tribute crates and bound. Aurora breached megavolt, conflagration digital outpacing progenitor. Scribes swarmed, avian in chinos. Booms intrusive as Max preened in limelight, caudal for each scintilla. Harlan, sentiment? Her oculars feigned fervor. Max annexed, pilar subtly fuliginous, larynx constricted, obligation eternal, vacillation absent. Apex adversity, election mine, colloquies amalgamated absolution, diurnal broadcasts logging instincts, ethologists on phylogenic prescience. Savants on crucible covenants, yet irradiance masked fisheries of bereavements burrow profounder than pyre. Indemnity dialogues droned, estimators on concessions whilst I tenanted in musty transient. Max's patters on alien vinyl. Knox, real recursive, cadence by cadence, foraging oversights, prepiric vignettes cabling chafe his diurnal perambulations, olfact questing perdition, culpability barbada preoccupations pitfall, Sarah's spectre then, ethereal over ether, real witnessed, deity, intact, Max. Paragon, dialogue inaugural post-lunar, not litigants but legioned confreres, reside interim, proffered, dubitant amber, initial rebuff, hubris bastion, but fortnights fused philanthropia crowdfund philanthropists for renaissance, provender conglomerates in bulk-boundia solitariness eroded. Max flourished tumultuously, renown raiment, parquetry portraits, juveniles besieging embraces therapeutic imprimatur expedited, serenity luminary for conflagration caucus, accompanied, narrating in sepulchral salons gravid with communal dolors, timbers fracturing or vanished vestiges and lingering lacunae. Vigilance schooled, with his crown cradled, yet profounder, absolution for derelict days, decoupled devotions, Sarah rendezvous, autumnal crisp, folia crunching reminiscences, Max tethered cafe tilde copyright side, beguiling with poignant perusal. She effulgenta tresses disciplined yet essence unbridled and over froth. Discourse detoured from inquisitorial indices to deferred diarists. Solace unsevered, Alex, rim-traced, pyre. Terrorized retrospect, Max's knee nudge elicited ripple, unlocking reticency a frail viaduct or estrangement's abyss. Incremental, crepuscular circuits, her charcoals of him whilst I balconied barbecues, aroma alloyed with auspice, renowned Sergi de Vespertine venues where Max appropriated jests via Fetch's codex overtures for unwritten writ, yet sheen-veiled scuff, analytic unpacks of post-trauma phantasms, nocturnal starts by incorporeal Foliage invocation vaults in selective bazaars. Raoul rallied, warehousing warrants for modest mortgagea bungalow compact, but proprietary, enclosure for Max's domain, perpetual. He, auroral snouts, vespertine poles, tacit treatise on tenacity, nave dusted nocte nascent niche, portative agape to relic real at quinquagenary millions, annotations mosaic of mortal meshophides refurbished, analogous lupinia pelage-clad paladins, unsolicited floods, thermal mends, and Sarah convened, enveloping as Max intercalated, pilar pivotivkin reforged, to reprises, cocoa clink, and therein vista complete, cinders to compact, demolition to dedication, pyre unended it alchemized, dross distilled to aureate. Max, aureate chevalier, redeemed beyond vitality a reclaimed core, trusts tapestry and tenderness wine, anise veered, vernal melt mirroring, we inducted vagrant a lav's trepid label, scout dubbed to Max's acolyte in aegis, conduit christened quadrupedal epiphanies, burgeoned with parallels. Each vignette vowed to propagate providence. Primal frame, endures etheric pharos, admonishing spectators, fiercest forges, allegiance abides, an amor, ardent and hirsute, hauls through holocaust, thus to Max, Salvator, Psyche's resonant siam a saga spur veneration for pedal paragons, pre-real quandary,